I grew up a Utah State fan. My dad grew up in Logan. Him and my mom both graduated from Utah State. I have a lot of family up here in Logan, so Utah State was always a place that I wanted to play at.
I don't know that there's really a point that you think I'm good at this. At least I never really had that mindset. I always wanted to be the best player and tried it, but I never thought that, oh, I'm better than everyone else.
State basketball is probably my favorite. I went through stretches as a kid growing up where football would be my favorite or baseball would be my favorite, but I don't know, there's something about basketball that I just really love and really enjoy.
Sam Merrill driving. Sam, right hand layup, up and in.
I want to be competitive at this, and I want to find the different routes to continue playing. Play AAU. I actually played AAU with Sam. We were teammates since we were 12 years old.
Now throws straight away. 3 ball. Porter on the way.
First came here off of a 2-year mission, and it was a big change for everything.
Yeah, I think it's all about just making sure that you've put in the work beforehand. I think when the lights are brightest or when the stage is biggest or in the pressure moments, I think you just revert back to the work that you've put in. And
terminates the dribble, has a strip, stolen away by Merrill. Outlet Brito, the race against Kozak.
You give everything you got every day and just pour yourselves into them to help them be the best version of themselves that they can possibly be.
Trim attacks the rim, swings it back over to Brock for 3. Yes!
First year, there were ups and downs. Especially as a team, we didn't have the best year, the year that we would have liked.
It's a group of guys that we love. They believed in us when no one else did. Right? They believed in us when we were terrible, and there was a lot of other very good schools that were recruiting them, and they chose us. And that's something I'll never forget.
You're going to the big dance. How does that sound? Awesome, man.
Yeah, Coach Smith is a unique coach. Someone I've never really had a coach like him. His energy and enthusiasm for the game is so contagious that it translates into his team. And so when you see us diving on the court or when you see us playing with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, a lot of it is a reflection of how Coach Smith coaches.
Our goal is just to try and be an extension of the coaches out on the court. I think Coach Smith has done a great job of bringing a culture to Utah State and giving us an identity. Like I talked about earlier, for us it's all about being the toughest team and being the most unselfish team.
He'll tell you that you can do whatever it is that you're working on, or he'll make sure that you know you're a good shooter and to take those shots. He really makes you feel like you can accomplish the things that he's asked you to do. Towards the end of last year, we weren't sneaking up on teams. It wasn't this secret that we were a solid team.
We understand that expectations are high around us, and people outside of us are talking more than they were last year, but we also understand that it really is a process, and I think we've had the same goals this preseason and these first few games this season than we did last season. Our goals are the same, our work ethic is the same, our identity is going to be the same. We may play a different style, we may have different guys contribute this year, but who we are and the core of who we are is the same, and that has to be the same every day.
No rocket scientists, but I think we're ranked like the number 2 tallest team in the country, and one thing I know you can't teach is height. So if you can't teach it, you better recruit it.
It's weird how much smaller the teams are that we're playing compared to what we have in practice every day. So it's hard in practice to score on each other because, like you said, our team is so tall. So it's interesting for sure. I just feel like there's a little more space to work with and to drive and to finish at the rim than we're used to from practice every day. So I know as we get into the tougher parts of our schedule that teams are going to be bigger and more athletic, but to this point it's been just kind of interesting to see how much more space we have.
Well, I'm 6'3" and I'm the shortest on the team. When you spend your time with all of these tall people, you feel like a short person. Then I'll go out to eat later that day and I'll be like, I'm not short, wait a second. Like I'm taller than all these people at this restaurant.
Right, and we are long. Our arms are going all over the place, and we have good length and good athleticism. So I'm not sure it was exactly by design, but it's the truth. I learned that from Bob Olson A guy that used to work for you. You can't teach size, Craig. You can't teach size.
So it's interesting, and then I mean, it really helps each of us get better, to be completely honest, because when you're driving in the lane in practice and your shot gets blocked over and over again, you start to figure out different ways to shoot it.
To Bairstow, attacking with the left hand, lays it up and in, draws the foul.
You know, it is amazing though how 1 point can be the difference between total elation and I'm gonna stop short of saying devastation, but it's amazing how that 1 point can be the difference of maybe going to an NCAA tournament, which is something your guys and your fan base will remember for the rest of their life, and maybe not ever getting there.
Best thing I can say is it's a tremendous win for the kids. You know, they battled like crazy and found a way to win a game, just like they've done in many Mountain West Conference games. It's somebody's had to pick up one side of the ball or the other. Special teams has been a key factor in all of those victories, and that kind of held true in this game.
Yeah, it was a great game, great team win. Defensively, there's a lot we can improve on. We still left a lot of plays out there, a lot of missed tackles, lots of missed assignments. That was evident this morning as we watched film and recapped the game, but players stepped up, made plays when they needed to, and unselfish plays that went unnoticed, and it was a great team win.
Well, I felt like the offense last game came out with a great mindset, came out with an attacking mindset, scored the first drive of the game.
And this league has proven out to be exactly what we kind of thought it was at the first of the year. Everybody's kind of, beating each other up, it seems, as we continue to go through here. And we got another great team coming in here this week.
I actually had to, one of our guys went down, so I had to come in on that last field goal. So it was not normally in there this time. Yeah. So I had to step up and get in there, and I felt like I did a pretty good job. It was a good feeling.
Offense obviously was productive and did a nice job. It was great to see the offense as a whole be able to do what they were able to do to keep us in the football game and give us a chance. And then special teams, huge play there at the end, obviously. And Dom, player of the week and all that, well deserved. The whole crew did a nice job of protecting him in that moment. And never underestimate the snapper and the holder in those situations. That's not an unstressful scenario.
Yeah, there was a couple minutes left in that game, and we were down. It wasn't looking too good, and we had our backs up against the wall.
Players make plays, players win games in those settings, in those situations, and the defense did not play well. They played poor.
Coach A harps on all the time, players make plays and the players win games. And when it comes down to it, people need to step up and make those unsung hero plays. You just got to do your assignment, and we're a firm believer in that. If you do your assignment, that everything else kind of falls into play.
But they didn't ever lay down or quit or say, woe is me. They kept on battling, and their eyes were right, and they kept fighting to make plays, and they had an opportunity to do it, and they did it.
I feel like our defense showed its true colors, and we can play as a unit, and we can make those plays when we need to.
They're a trio now, and they go out there, and they're going to rely on those other guys that are out there protecting them when they go in that situation, but those guys put themselves in that setting a lot of times, and Dom is locked and loaded, and it was the snap, and it was the hold, and it was there, and that thing was drilled. It was right in the middle of the good hands little thing that sits in the back of the net back there, and it was fun to see it hit that net. The crew found a way. When they had to run the ball against Colorado State, we handed the ball off to Gerald 36 times for 170 whatever yards it was, and the defense played well, and Woody grabs the ball out of a guy's hands and scores a touchdown. It's crazy how some of those things have happened in these league games, and this game was no different. The offense was powerful. They moved the ball down the field. They scored when they needed to. Were they perfect? Absolutely not. The defense was, like we talked about, will need to improve to help us continue to go, but when it had to happen, they did it. Here we sit, 4-1 in league play, and it's awesome to see them keep fighting and battling for themselves and for their school. Quick recap, another crazy, great Mountain West Conference football game. Two good teams battled right down to the wire again.
We knew that they were going to be a tough team defensively, and that we needed any opportunity to score and convert on those. And I felt like we did a really good job driving down the field, scoring touchdowns on the first couple drives, and then even though we probably should have had 1 or 2 more touchdowns, just getting points on the board and separating ourselves was really good. When you win and break those records, and when you win and achieve something like that, that's what makes the feeling even better. You know, it's not a selfish goal, it's a team goal. Field goals, and you end up winning the game on a field goal against Fresno. I mean, that was raw emotion. I hugged Jordan. I mean, that's the best kind of feeling in the world, when you can help contribute to whatever the team set out as a goal. Get punched on, they want to be the guy doing the punching. They want to be like a boxer doing the heavy hits. They want to finish that knockout blow. And I feel like over the past 2 weeks, that's kind of where, you know, there's not a saying, but a lot of people always say that, oh, we can't win close games, we can't do that, and we're really doing a great job changing that culture. I mean,
we off each other, so that really showed the work we put in during the week also. I mean, watched a lot of film, so we was able to make those plays that we need to make. As he got here, actually, like, as soon as he got here, he was already, like, open. I was like, dang, like, I feel like I knew him forever, and he went to JUCO in California, so, like, kind of had the same lingo down and stuff, so, I mean, as soon as he got here, we're friends, been friends since then, so everybody had to step up, because there was plays that he would make that nobody else could have made, so anything that he would have done, we all had to do, so, I mean, Munoz came in and stepped in and made some big plays like he would have, so it's good to see. I mean, that game, it was hurtful, because we got one game closer to, you know what I'm saying, going to the Mountain West Championship, and we couldn't do it. So now that I'm more part of it, I feel like I have to step up in a huge way so I can send all my seniors out with a bang. So we need to win this game and win the next one, so we could achieve our goal of going to the Mountain West Championship and possibly winning it. So I have to do it for my seniors.
Defense that's a really good swarming defense. You'd like to see every 30 snaps a turnover take place. That's hard, but all of our goals are hard. We don't have a goal that we put on the offense, defense, or special teams that's easy to obtain. There was one we didn't get, but we got it a couple plays later, so that was good.
I grew up in northern Minnesota, Stephen, Minnesota. I graduated number 2 in my class. There were 18 of us. So I still couldn't be in the top 10%. I've loved sports for my whole life. I've always been into it. You know, it's funny how growing up, I mean, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, I wasn't a big hockey guy, but if there was a good playoff hockey game on, or was never a tennis guy, but when the Wimbledon championships are on, or I wasn't a golfer, but any kind of the Olympics, you know, just loved watching it, and the drama and the theater, but the competitiveness and that fight and that vigor. And then you start getting older and you realize, you know, like why aren't they going for it on 4th and 1? You know what I mean? And you become like every other fan, you know, second guessing the coaches. But so I've always had maybe an instinct with that. I love people. My mom had her own daycare for 34 years. I was raised in my mom and dad. My dad was always working from 6 a.m. till 9 at night. I hardly ever saw him, and except for, you know, lunch and dinner. And my mom raised us in our daycare. So I was always used to being around young kids and understanding people, and I think that really helped. And my mom was is one of those people that very consistent, and when she said something, she meant it. Like, there was no, you know, there's a line right here, and I knew if I crossed this line, all heck was gonna break loose. I love that there's a winner and a loser, but at the same time, the older you get, it's so much more than just the competition. It's about helping young people, young men come in as a young man and developing them to a man. And whether that's off the floor lessons or on the court lessons, and I think that's the beauty of sports, is there's so many lifelong lessons that you can learn. You gotta understand hard work. You gotta understand being selfless, because it's not just about you when you're in a team sport. You got to understand sacrifice. I miss out, personally, I miss out on a lot of my kids' events, which is hard, you know, and just like our student athletes, they're missing out on some of their families, you know, events that way. But sports are an amazing platform that our guys and women's tennis players or a college football player or whatever, they have an amazing platform in which to utilize to help themselves in their future that way. So I've loved sports, I think, since I've been out of the womb.
Rebound. Merrill, long pass. Brito on an alley-oop layup.
I'm so grateful for the way our parents raised me and the value of work ethic. And, you know, if you asked them for something or if there was a problem, it was like, well, figure out the solution, right? You can tell me all the problems you want, but go figure it out. And we do that with our guys, quite frankly, you know, because I don't want to sound old, but I think it's a lot in today's day and age. You get a lot more helicopter parents. You know, I'll see my kids, my personal kids, out playing in a football game or a baseball game, and as soon as there's a conflict, they're looking around like, where's mommy and daddy to come and help me out? You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, go figure it out. Like, you guys need to figure it out on your own. And I think problem solving is such a great attribute to have nowadays, more so than I think at any time.
No look hook. I like it. Brock Miller down low to Dorius, who throws down the dunk.
Coach Miles, Tim Miles is my mentor, and I've worked with him for 11 seasons as an assistant coach at 4 different schools. Fantastic coach, but even better person. Certainly a great mentor for me. I learned so much from him, both professionally and personally, you know, and just the kind of the ins and outs of the business. And there's so many learning points, but I think the biggest thing is just obviously just treat people right, be professional, and enjoy it, right? Have fun. And every position I've ever held, whether it's an assistant coach, a director of ops, or a head coach, and I've been fortunate to work at the NAIA level, the D2 level, the low major level, mid major level, and the high major level. So I've worked at every single level that there really is, except junior college, because it takes a whole group of people to make this happen. It's not just that, you know, sometimes the head coach gets too much credit and they get too much blame. It truly is about the people that you surround yourself with. And, you know, fortunately here at Utah State, we have an incredible president in Noel Cockett. Our athletic director is unbelievable in John Hartwell. I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic staff around us in every way, shape, and form. Our assistant coaching staff, our administrative staff, our sports information director, right, and up and down the line. And so it takes everybody to make it really click that way. And give Coach Miles a ton of credit for kind of throwing me in the wolves and letting me figure out who I am as a coach and what I'm about. And so I'll be forever indebted to him. It's always been important to me as a head coach to be at a place where it's important to the people, where it's important to the fan base, where it's important to the community. And I'm just watching these games and the fans are nuts, and you know, you see these crazy seats, the color of the seats, but it was just this big party in this arena. And so I started doing some research on it, and I mean the Spectrum Magic and all of that stuff. So when I was a younger assistant, I always had Utah State on my mind. Like, oh, that could be a really, really cool place to coach, to live, right, and all that stuff. And lo and behold, you know, about 9 years later, 10 years later, you know, as fate would have it, I'm the men's basketball coach here. And obviously what really stands out here after being here for a year is the passionate fan base. It just exudes enthusiasm. And even at the start of this year, being 3-0 and having 3 home games to start the year against 2 Big Sky schools and a Summit League school, the USU Herd, right? I mean, we literally have almost the whole student section sold out, like filled out, and obviously the rest of this place is going nuts. So, and that doesn't happen very often at very many places. And we have a guy on our staff who's our graduate assistant, Brandon Ubell. Brandon says, I've never been a part of a fan base like this crazy, in a good way, about their sports and about obviously basketball specifically. That holds a lot of weight. So nobody's gonna put higher expectations on our team and our program than me. And obviously, hopefully that carries over to our staff and to our players in our program. So when everyone was saying we're gonna get 9th place in the league and all these projections, we didn't believe that for 1 second. Like, let's go out and let's prove ourselves. Let's go out. You know, polls are what they are, and I've said this a million times on record. Polls are what they are. They don't mean anything. But what they do tell you is the level of respect that your program has earned. And so obviously, you know, that was a bit of our mantra. Let's bring the Spectrum Magic back. Let's go out and earn respect. And we did that obviously last year, going 28-7 and getting to the NCAA tournament and setting all kinds of records on the way. But the season ended not in a great way, losing to Washington in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And for all these accolades that we did last year, you know, 28 wins, highest seed in the NCAA tournament in the history of Utah State, won the regular season Mountain West title for the first time, won the postseason tournament for the first time, so on and so forth. The season really ended in a bitter fashion. Like, our guys were very disappointed in how that ended. And so we had a great off season this summer. And I think you can see that all of our returning guys have clearly gotten better. And now we're trying to incorporate essentially 9 new guys into this year's team. And we got off to a little bit of a slower start, even though we won the game. And now we've kind of settled in here the last 2 games. So people have often said, you know, now this year you're going to have the target on your back. Well, you know what? Last year we had a target too. We won 17 of our last 19 games. High achieving people have high expectations for themselves all the time. And so if you're playing a game of poker, right, you can't control those cards that you're dealt, right? But you got to find a way to win that game, right? And sometimes you need to press, right? And you're throwing all your chips in. Sometimes you need to just kind of slow roll it, right? And you got to be able to try to play those cards the right way. And you don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but you got to find a way to make it play out in your favor. And I think that's the beauty of basketball is coaches don't always have the answer, but you got to go do it. And we always say basketball is a game of chaos. We even have a drill called chaos because it's chaotic. And you don't know exactly what's going to come, but you got to figure it out.